Hello, everybody. I have major announcements to do. This one, I'm going to let people log on, give it that couple minutes. Important to talk about the party and where we're going. So I guess I'll have to post the time we start the video after the play so everybody can skip ahead. Lots to go through. It's always this time. We got to give it time and wait. See, people are coming on there. That's good. Just going to give it a couple seconds. I always like to give it the minute and let everybody get in. People are starting to go. That's good. Hard databasing this week. It's been pretty tough. So I think it's not bad. We'll just start there and we'll see how it goes. A lot of people catch it on the replay. So I brought some notes, not a whole lot, but I want to hit this. Canada, the 51st state. Our party, PCC, Party of the Canadian Constitutionalists. We've come a long way. Facebook's been huge for us. Twitter as well, too. Every day, more and more people sign on. And a lot of people are upset about having to answer key questions on our page. Well, there's a reason for that. I build political parties. I run them in majority. I have a track record of doing that. Running parties that people say shouldn't be or can't be or somehow we don't have a right to do. And that's what I do. I did Alberta Independence in 2019. We ran a clear majority. It was a learning curve. That was very difficult. We got it done, though. We did it, and we did it like nobody had ever done before in Canadian law, using the system as it is. And we're going to try and attempt that Canada-wide now with much more roadblocks, many more people. But before I get into that, I just want to let everybody know my name is Dave Bjorkman. I started my path towards trying to deal with the Crown many, many years ago. I had a rough patch in my life, and I found it was the government that turned out to be my biggest enemy. Biggest divider, biggest screw over of my life. And all I found that no matter how hard I wanted justice, it only cost me more money and it ended up ripping apart my life. Now, I'm not crying here. This is a story for a lot of Canadians. Very familiar. Maybe not a majority, but I bet you near a good third of Canadians know exactly what I'm talking about. When you're the subject of the abuse, and it's in fact the government, and no matter what you do, it just costs. Almost everything you get into always enriches them at your expense. Well, it's no accident. I started my life after that trying to figure out what's wrong with Canada. First, I started with my home province, Alberta. I thought, well, if we could just break free of this crown, we could get answers. And I found that that wasn't even achievable, that you had to go further. So I went across Canada, learned all of that of the First Peoples and all of their different narratives throughout Canadian history. And they have a lot. They're all bound by an Indian Act, many other things. But it was an evil and a rot of this crown that has to be stopped. And after 10 years of searching the world over, best legal minds, best institutions, best political scientists, but by far constitutionalists worldwide, got into that, started learning what was the malfunctions of my country and why it's the way it is. And so I did that. And now we're at a point, at least in my life, where we've got that which we need to achieve. And that's Canada, the 51st state. We have a presidential invite by Donald J. Trump. Very, very serious about it. The GOP It's amazing. It's decolonization, really. It's way past due for Canada. The USA has launched this all over the world. It's time for their next door neighbors. I believe we're stronger together. I think after tomorrow, in the 3 months of just the results of tomorrow, takes about 3 months with shipping lanes. I know the cycle of how everything works. It'll take 3 months for us to really feel the imposed tariffs. And by then there'll be 2 more sets of tariffs placed on our country, which is going to devastate us. I know this. If Donald J. Trump sticks to the numbers, sticks to what he's platformed, it's going to destroy Canada. He wasn't joking. I know it too. So, before I begin, I want to let everybody know as we go through this party, I have a track record of integrity, of security. I ran a majority as the Alberta Independence Party. No one's ever done that before, not out of that kind of registration process in that amount of time. I broke all kinds of records. We did it legally, lawfully, and nobody got hurt. Everybody made it through. Largely, there were small issues, but those were individual choices. And in fact, the mainstream parties had more issues, and these are majority parties too, than we did. Even the Liberals, who had many candidates below us in the province of Alberta, had more legal issues. Some exploded. This happened for the Conservatives too, and even NDP in some respects. Not us. Supposedly rookies, know-nothings, couldn't get anything done. None of that happened to us. We kept a clean run. We did it in their system completely legally. So I'm going to do that again. And I know a lot of people are afraid. You think, why should I give you my email? Why do you ask these personal questions? Well, we need that to determine where we can go and how far we can bring as many people as possible. If I don't screen people at the basic, and there's even more forms to go on if you want to run for an MP or even volunteer, because you'll have access to people's personal information. There's many forms, legal documents we have to go through. I'm training 2 women right now, and I'm going to name them. So that's Courtney Curlio. She's from Alberta, completely vetted, signed a non-disclosure. She's liable. The other is Lindsay Milner. She's here in Ontario and Oshawa. She's signed a non-disclosure, filled out all her legal forms, crossed her T's, dotted her I's. She's even reached out to a lot of you who've signed forms. You've signed Election Canada forms. The real ones you won't see with other parties. In fact, when you buy a membership, which Elections Canada doesn't charge for party membership, those legal forms are presented, there's no fee. But political parties charge you, and they don't even register you with the party, with Elections Canada, or in any province or territory. I learned this in Alberta Independence. Of course, if it's the same in the provinces, sure enough, I found it to be identical at the federal level. And you've all seen those who've signed it. So I have military clearance, I have police security clearance. I work in nuclear here in Ontario at present. I have nowhere to go. If I was to compromise your data, take that, use that maliciously, it would cost me that. I can easily be found. The military, the police in Canada know exactly where to find me. Again, I work in nuclear. For those who don't know, that takes the highest security clearance in Canada. It's one of the top, besides maybe some political positions, of course, in the elected party system. But other than that, for a working stiff, that's as high as you go in Canada. So you can trust that what we're doing is legitimate, that I can easily be held accountable. I put all of that same accountability on everybody I vet. Courtney Curlio and Lindsay Milner are now directors. They absolutely have signed all documentation holding them legally binding. I have their IDs, I have their home residence, I know where they live. both family people, both run households, both work full time. They're bondable people. They've been vetted. So they're going to go forward. Any volunteers or anyone who wants to be an MP or wants to take a Crown appointment will have to do identically everything Lindsay and Courtney have done so far. Those ladies have done it all. I'm going to be teaching them a rollout. I have a spreadsheet of everyone who answered the questions, all the information we need from you to go forward now, all the documentation that has to be in. More, I have all the Elections Canada forms signed over the last 4 years, collected for our party, even in its name change after we were rejected by Elections Canada. It's not a problem. But I have all those coming. I've had them sent to me in the mail. They're due any day now. So we have all of that. We have all of the new membership and more than 1,000 people interested. So with all of that, building the spreadsheet, we're going to be aggressively contacting everybody, asking for more information. But first, it's going to be forms, liability, depending on how far you want to go. At minimum, and this is even for American volunteers, which we can take American volunteers, but we can't go any further than that. You can help us achieve what we're doing, but we can't take you any further than the volunteer mode. And there's a different non-disclosure agreement that comes with that. I also have to make a special trip to the current ambassador, Canada, USA, and go through that. And that's a Democrat, it's Colin. I'm waiting for the Trump confirmation too. It may not come in on time, and I may just have to work with Colin and go from there. But we'll let Americans know. I'll make sure that they have the form. And for Canadians, don't worry, nobody's information is going to go into anything in anyone's hands that we don't have that credible, real, and verifiable, which means IDs, who they are, where they live, and we have reciprocity. I'll make sure that's done through the ambassador. So we're still at the point we don't have an accountant. Now we can build a big board. I'm not worried about that. We have other people who still have to fill their forms. They've been with us a long time, but I'm really ironing out all the legal details now because we are going to run a 338. That's the goal here. I don't see, as it is now with all the people we have interested from right across Canada, all those I've logged before, which is in plenty. We're way over what we need, but we need for Crown appointments. And this is important in these stages, and this vetting process has to happen. It has to be done because there's more than 1,000. There's probably near 2,000, but 1,000 key critical appointments. They're in fact not ceremonial as claimed. Things like the Bank of Canada, all kinds of Crown appointments in relation to finance, security, and on and on. We can go through so many of the ministries all the way down through the appointments. It's important for Canadians to see it. For the first time ever in Canadian history, these people are selected by their love of the Prime Minister, their fame, their fortune. Literally, those are the prerequisites. And it has nothing to do with their skill or anything else. They're not even screened like the United States. There's no vetting procedure. It's wave of a Prime Minister's magic wand. Whose family are you from? How does that impact me? Are you famous? Are you going to bring notoriety to our party? Will people distinguish you? Whether they have the skills, the background, education, or experience to do the job. And this is why Canadians need to see this platform in 51st State. It not only will teach all Canadians, it's going to teach the world, Americans, and they're going to go, what? And then you start to wonder why when you look these things up on the internet, they say largely ceremonial. It's like, how can 95% of these effectual titles, they're appointed with no vetting process, nothing but, are you rich? Are you famous or a friend of the Prime Minister's? Think about that. Nothing about experience, education. That should scare all of you. More than that, there's zero vetting process. There's no standing committee to go through these people like they have to in the United States. It takes a lot of time. It takes many, many months, as you're all seeing. Trump's showcasing that. He announces, hey, we did this, we did that. It'll keep going. There's more than 2,000. But think, Canada's got 2,000. And look at the size of our country versus the United States. Why do we need that many? Why do we need that many? That's the problem here. And there's no real vetting, education, or experience requirements. It's who you know, who you blow, or how much money you have, or how famous you are. Well, that's bad. And I think Donald J. Trump really made that a point when he presented it. So folks, I'm going to go through some things that you can expect. I'm doing this video for it. So you're going to get contacted by Lindsay. Those, I've compiled a list who've answered the questions, which are so many. It's going to take a lot of time, but I hope we bring on volunteers who will finish the vetting process, and then they can start from the training from Lindsay and Courtney. And when they're strong, they have all their paperwork in, we know who you are, we've got your non-disclosure, we've got all those things, your oath, everything, we are vetted, we know who you are, then they can relieve and take some of these duties off, and I can put Courtney and Lindsay into higher positions to get the ball rolling faster, which is what's going to happen. You're going to see it. But things you can expect is to be asked your name, your address, an absolute email. I know people answer and they want to do a lot for the party. We absolutely need the email. We would like a phone number. That's not mandatory at this stage, but you're just going to create work on the back end. We're going to go through what your skills are. What did you do for a living in your life so that we can place you in the party? Again, over 1,000 appointments. I've already got a lot of people who've already done that, and it's great. We have to have you registered with the party, with Elections Canada. Your address, your legal name, ID. We got to vet you, especially for MP, any of the Crown appointments, and even just as a volunteer, those things are going to have to be. We're going to get into other details that are critical and important. You'll see that. They're going to ask you a lot of questions that are absolutely a legal requirement for building a party and running this slate and going through the appointments. It has to be done. It's crossing T's, dotting I's. All of us have gone through it. I've already made public my non-disclosure agreement. That's binding upon me. It's out there for anyone to see. I've signed it. It's published. I can republish that, pin it. People want, but it's there. And again, I work in Darlington Nuclear Reactor. I have high military, high police clearance. The kind of stuff that if I was to get charged, I'm fired, I'm terminated. If something happens, police can easily find me. One of the easiest found people in Canada, because I'm registered, monitored, just like that every day of my life, every day I go to work. So please trust the process. I hope this has gone through a lot and these questions. So if you think, why do you need to know this stuff? It's a requirement. It's for vetting. It's to actually run a 338. It's to actually handle people's personal information. We can't have people we don't know volunteering and having data all over the place. In this day and age, it's an absolute must, 110%. Anything short of that is criminal, really, and it's not for the faint of heart. So I hope this reaches everybody well. I'm going to put it on the website. We are going to run this election. I have no doubts. I hope I hit the website. I've done 2 interviews so far on web developers. They have to fill out all this paperwork. They have to sign off several other documents that others will have to sign down the road. And these are legal liabilities too, to the party and to all of you, the members, as you come on board. And that's what we're doing here. It's going to be fully transparent. on social media for the world to see, public. We're not hiding nothing. We're going to run a clear majority, transparent like no other party would ever even dream of doing anywhere in Canada, because it's top secret, it's behind closed doors, and it's them versus you. This is your opportunity to be you versus them on a stage where the USA is going to be watching, and specifically a president who cherished Canada 51st state. That's what he wants, and a lot of Americans want. And we know this because I have a tremendous amount of volunteers who've come forward. And like I said, I'm going to work that out with the ambassador through the embassy and make sure we can do that. I know we can. I know it because I helped out, and other Canadians have helped out on elections in the past in the United States. So I know it's possible. You can't get paid and everything else, but there's a way to do that so that people can handle people's information. God bless everybody. Share, share, share. Credible, real, verifiable, and you're going to see it. Just so everybody knows, you're going to start getting contacted. I've already got the first 50 out, so expect those two ladies again, Courtney Curlio and Lindsay Milner. They're going to be contacting you with what you've provided, and maybe reach out on social media. If you didn't provide an email, they'll explain to you why they need to email you, why we can't do that on a messenger service. So God bless everybody. Take care. Share, share, share. Get it out there. We will run this majority. Canada, the 51st state, with PCC, Party of the Canadian Constitutionalists, this year, this federal election in a 338. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen one way or another. And if you know an accountant, and this isn't a higher-on position, this is somebody who believes in this party, believes in what we're doing, and wants to sit on the board as a member of the party board. That is you making that commitment. And yes, it has to be an accountant, but I want a Canadian chartered accountant, and there's a few different titles in that, but it has to be chartered accountant and above, or it could possibly be an American accountant with Canadian dual citizenship. That is an option too. People who are afraid of this a lot are, because they think they're going to lose their designation. I promise you, if that was to happen, the media outcry in the United States of America, can you imagine messaging Fox News, CNN, saying, I was stripped of my title as an accountant that I went to school and paid for by the Crown because I wanted to run my democratic rights. And the Crown said, well, we have a rule, we can strip you of your education. If that's the fear, and it was a legitimate fear as a republic, I get that, but not as the 51st state. I think at that point, USA, that would be a major where USA would say, you know what, we've had enough of this autocracy. In the face of the right to go with the 51st state, you would remove that designation. I understand the fear, like I said. I don't think Canada's Crown is prepared to go that far against the United States of America. So folks, if that's the fear, put it to the side, come on board, we need you. If this is in your pit and in your gut, you don't have to be out there campaigning, but you need to be on that seat of that board. It's a requirement by Elections Canada, and we need that. We need that. That's the federal requirement. It's not an accident that the federal government had put that in the inception of the laws. They knew that that would ensure, by having that charter and that oath sworn accounting position, that you couldn't break the Crown or face losing your designation. Now, that might have been a critical fear, and it has been even up to this year, but it's not a critical fear in the case of the 51st state. Like I said, that would put the USA over its edge. Can you imagine the American news media getting a hold of that? So that's my video. That's where we're at. We're already almost halfway there, if we're not halfway there. I still have to tabulate more, but we're halfway to where we need to be. That's impressive. With more coming in the mail that I've done already before. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty epic what we're doing. And yeah, so just remember, Lindsay Milner, Courtney Curlio, vetted, signed on, sealed, certified, under my name. I vet them. It's legal. It's normal. We've done this before. You can look online. My name comes up. You'll definitely not hear of anything but me running a slate of candidates. You won't hear about corrupted data, stolen identities, or mischievous activities using your personal information. I've made my non-disclosure agreement. I've made my commitment. That's public. Anyone can see it. I have the highest security clearances in Canada. I wouldn't lose those for something that isn't going to make me money. So thanks, everybody. Share, share, share. Get it out there. This is going on the page. It's going to be pinned. I know.